Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Gaurav Kumar Jain from Jamia Hamdard, New Delhi. Today, we will study the module Preformulation Part 4 under paper Product Development Part 1. In this module, we will learn about drug solubility and its importance in preformulation. We will learn about importance of pKa and pH solubility profile in preformulation. We will also learn about importance of partition coefficient during preformulation and the importance of dissolution rate in preformulation. Let us first start with drug solubility. In the previous module on preformulation, we have discussed in detail about objectives of the preformulation study along with solid state characteristics such as crystal morphology, polymorphism, hygroscopicity and various micromeretic properties of the drug that are needed to be evaluated during preformulation studies. In continuation to this, the present module will highlight the importance of solubility study including pKa, pH, partition coefficient and dissolution rate during preformulation program. For the development of liquid dosage form, accurate solubility data is essential to ensure the robustness of the finished product. For solid dosage form, solubility data is important in determining an adequate amount of drug available for absorption in vivo. Solubility finds its role in various areas, for instance, during manufacturing of an injectable formulation or when direct administration into the bloodstream is desired. For conducting pharmacological, toxicological and pharmacokinetic studies, a drug solution is preferred. Solubility studies also finds application in developing analytical methods for drugs. Poor aqueous solubility not only limits a drug's biological application but also challenges its pharmaceutical development. Now the first question that comes into mind is, what is solubility? The solubility of a solid substance is defined as the concentration at which the solution phase is in equilibrium with a given solid phase at a stated temperature and pressure. The solubility of a drug candidate may be a critical factor since aqueous solubility dictates the amount of compound that will dissolve and therefore the amount available for absorption. The bioavailability of an orally administered drug depends primarily on two factors, that is, its solubility in the gastrointestinal tract and its permeability across cell membrane, and these form the basis of the biopharmaceutical classification system. A drug can be therapeutically effective only if it possesses aqueous solubility to some extent. In order to be transported across biological membrane, drug molecules are required to be present in a dissolved form. Therefore, low aqueous solubility can delay or decrease drug absorption, and if the drug is insoluble, then the absorption will be incomplete and hence it will not exhibit the required therapeutic effect. While solubility enhancement remains one of the primary areas of focus during the formulation development phases, there are several situations that might require solubility reduction, like enhancement of chemical stability, taste masking, and development of sustained release products. According to United States Pharmacopoeia, a drug is considered to be very soluble if less than 1 part of solvent is required to dissolve 1 part of drug. A drug is considered to be freely soluble if 1 to 10 parts of solvent is required to dissolve 1 part of drug. It is considered to be soluble if 10 to 30 parts of solvent is required to dissolve 1 part of drug. It is said to be sparingly soluble if 30 to 100 parts of solvent is required to dissolve 1 part of drug. A drug is said to be slightly soluble if 100 to 1000 parts of solvent is required to dissolve 1 part of drug. A drug is very slightly soluble if 1000 to 10,000 parts of solvent is required to dissolve 1 part of drug, and is considered to be practically insoluble if more than 10,000 parts of solvent is required to dissolve 1 part of drug. In the candidate's early development, the solubility must be determined in distilled water, 0.01 normal HCl, zero point 0.1 normal HCl, 0.1 normal NaOH, 0.1% NaCl at physiological pH range of 1 to 8 at room temperature and at 37 degrees Celsius. These early results are useful in predicting drugs with a potential for bioavailability problems. As a rule of thumb, drugs with an aqueous solubility greater than 1% weight by volume are not expected to present dissolution-related absorption problems. In the application of this rule, however, one must consider the anticipated dose of the drug and its stability in the gastrointestinal fluids. A highly insoluble drug administered in small doses may exhibit good absorption. For a drug that is unstable in the acidic environment of the stomach, high solubility and consequent rapid dissolution could result in a decreased bioavailability. Based on few examples discussed, it could be seen that solubility of drug is a useful biopharmaceutical parameter. Though solubility profiles are not direct predictors of biological performance, but they do provide rationale for more extensive in vivo studies and formulation development prior to drug evaluation in humans. Understanding the drug's solubility profile and possible solubilization mechanisms provides a basis for formulation development. For new drug formulation, it is important to obtain solubility analysis of the drug as it can affect the performance of the drug. Pre-formulation solubility studies usually include determinations of pKa, temperature dependence, pH solubility profile, drug partitioning, solubilization mechanism, and rate of dissolution. Next, we will discuss about solubility determination. For pre-formulation studies to be done in the correct direction, it is important to know how to experimentally determine solubility. Solubility experiment should have all factors defined, including pH, temperature, ionic strength, and buffer concentrations. Equilibrium method using shake flask technique is widely used for solubility studies. In general, a semi-quantitative determination of the solubility can be made by adding the drug in small incremental amounts to a known volume of the solvent. After each addition, the mixture is vigorously shaken and examined visually for any undissolved drug particles. When some drug remains undissolved, the total amount added up to that point serves as a good and rapid estimate of solubility. When more quantitative data are needed, an excess drug dispersed in solvent in a closed container is agitated at a constant temperature for sufficient length of time till equilibrium is attained. Samples are withdrawn periodically, filtered or clarified, and the concentration of the solute in the filtrate is determined by a suitable analytical technique. Sampling is continued until consecutive sample shows the same concentration. For attaining equilibrium, several types of shakers have been reported in the literature, including end-over-end shaker, wrist action shaker, magnetic stirrer, vortexers, etc. Proper wetting of the solute has to be ensured by choosing an appropriate shaker. Generally, end-over-end shakers provide good solute solvent exposure for a small volume of solvents that have viscosity similar to that of water. Solubility of an acidic or basic drug is pH dependent and must be determined over the pH range 1 to 8. Since such compounds favor their own pH environment dictated by their pKa, it becomes necessary to adjust the pH values of their saturated solution. Usually, this is done via use of buffers of appropriate pH values or by addition of hydrochloric acid or sodium hydroxide to the solution. Solubility determinations of poorly soluble drugs presents their own unique problems. Solubility of such drugs could sometimes be overestimated due to the presence of soluble impurities. Further, the saturation solubility of a poorly soluble drug is not reached in the reasonable length of time since it is exclusively dictated by the surface area of the dissolving solid. To overcome this, the amount of drug used should be greatly in excess of that needed to saturate a given volume of solvent. Drugs that degrade when added to solution makes an accurate determination of the solubility difficult. For such drugs, a kinetic method is adopted where rate constants and order of reactions for degradation of the drug in solution and a suspension is determined. For metastable drugs that transform to more stable forms when exposed to solvents, a method based on the determination of intrinsic dissolution rate is applied. Determination of the solubility of the stable form and the intrinsic dissolution rate of the stable and metastable forms allows calculation of the solubility of the metastable form. Next to discuss is intrinsic solubility. Most drugs are either weak acids or weak bases, and the degree of ionization and therefore the solubility of such drugs depends on the pH of the medium. The saturation solubility for such compounds at a particular pH is the sum total of solubility of ionized and unionized forms. Another solubility term called as intrinsic solubility or absolute solubility is the equilibrium solubility of the free acid or free base form of an ionizable compound at a pH where it is fully unionized. This means in practice that the intrinsic solubility of an acid should be measured at a pH 2 pH units below the acid's pKa. Base intrinsic solubility, on the other hand, should be measured 2 units above its pKa. Dissolution, often used exchangeably with solubility, is defined as the amount of solid substance that goes into the solution per unit time under standard conditions of temperature, pH and solvent composition and constant solid surface area. Next we will discuss about dissociation constant or pKa. The acid-base dissociation constant of a drug is a key physiochemical parameter influencing many biopharmaceutical properties of drugs. As the majority of drugs are weak acids and or bases, knowledge of the dissociation constant in each case helps in understanding the ionic form a molecule will take across a range of pH values. It is well established that ionized species are more water soluble and unionized species are more lipid soluble and hence more readily absorbed. This is particularly important in physiological systems where ionization state will affect the rate at which the compound is able to diffuse across membranes. Knowledge of pKa helps us to predict what a molecule will do at a specific pH, or more importantly, what the pH needs to be in order for a chemical species to donate or accept a proton. The pKa distribution of drugs are influenced by two main drivers. The first is the nature and frequency of occurrence of the functional groups on the drugs, and the second is the biological targets these drugs are designed to hit. For example, targeting G protein coupled receptors in CNS require amines as ligands, and the presence of amine in drug moiety influences the pKa profile of the drug. The pKa of the drug not only influences solubility but also influences lipophilicity, protein binding and permeability, which in turn directly affects drug pharmacokinetics. As estimate of likely ADME characteristics can be obtained by determining pKa of the drug in conjugation with other properties such as molecular weight, partition coefficient and number of hydrogen bond donors and acceptors. Determination of the dissociation constant for a drug capable of ionization within a pH range of 1 to 10 is important since solubility and consequently absorption can be altered by orders of magnitude with changing pH. The Henderson-Hasselbalch equation provides an estimate of the ionized and unionized drug concentration at a particular pH. The Henderson-Hasselbalch equation for acidic and basic compounds is shown on the screen. The percent ionization of acidic and basic drug can further be calculated using following equations. For acidic drugs, the equation is, for basic drug, the equation is. Through these equations, selection of suitable salt-forming compounds and prediction of solubility of salt can be done. These equations also depict the ionization of drug at any pH value. Such values are important since the absorption of the drug is dependent on them. For example, very weakly acidic drug with pKa greater than 8 such as phenytoin and very weakly basic drugs with pKa less than 5 such as diazepam exist in unionized form throughout GIT and their absorption is rapid. Weakly acidic drugs with pKa ranging from 3 to 7 such as aspirin exist in unionized form in the stomach but exist in ionized form in the intestine, and such drugs are better absorbed from stomach. Weakly basic drugs with pKa ranging from 5 to 8 such as morphine exist in ionized form in the stomach but exist in unionized form in the intestine, and such drugs are better absorbed from intestine. Further, strong acidic drugs with pKa less than 2.5 such as cromolyn sodium and strong basic drugs with pKa greater than 11 such as erythromycin always exist in ionized form throughout GIT and thus have poor absorption. From the above discussion, it is apparent that for acidic compounds, the relative concentration of the unionized form would increase with a decrease in the pH of the solution, whereas the converse would hold for basic compounds. The pH of the stomach is acidic, ranging in pH from 1 to 3, whereas the pH of the intestine ranges from 5 to 8. Hence, weakly acidic drugs would be preferentially absorbed from the stomach, whereas the intestine is the primary site for the absorption of weakly basic drugs. Thus, knowledge of the pKa of the drug is very useful in determining the most likely site of absorption of acidic and basic drugs. It is important to note that other factors such as dose of drug, rate of dissolution, lipid solubility, common ion effects, and metabolism in the GI tract can change these predictions. Next, we will discuss about methods used for determination of pKa. Several methods are available for the determination of the ionization constant. For compounds with a reasonable solubility, acid-base potentiometric titrations can be performed. The procedure entails the measurement of the pH as the function of the amount of titrant added. Calculations of the dissociation constant can then be made from these data by measuring the pH at half neutralization point where pH equals to the pKa. If ionized and unionized form of a drug in solution exhibit significantly different UV visible spectra, the absorbance data can be used for the determination of the ionization constant. Other methods for determining ionization constant include those based on the determination of partition coefficient as a function of pH of the aqueous phase and on conductometric techniques. Next, we will discuss the importance of pH solubility profile. In preformulation, pH is a critical variable and a basic understanding of its principle and measurement is vital. It is important to understand pH and its influence on drug solubility, stability, and absorption. The effect of pH on solubility is critical, particularly for formulation of oral liquids, IV and topical solutions. The solubility of a weak acid or base is often pH dependent. The total quantity of a monoprotic weak acid in solution at a specific pH is sum of the concentration of both the free acids and salt forms. If excess drug is present, the quantity of free acid in solution is maximized and constant because of its saturation solubility. As the pH of the solution increases, the quantity of drug in solution increases because the water-soluble ionizable salt is formed. This is shown by the following expression. In this equation, Ka is the dissociation constant, Ha represents weak acid, H plus represents free acid, and A minus represents salt form. There may be a certain pH level reached where the total solubility of the drug solution is saturated with respect to both the salt and acid forms of the drug, that is the pH maximum. The solution can be saturated with respect to the salt at pH values higher than this, but not with respect to the acid. Also, at pH values less than this, the solution can be saturated with respect to the acid but not to the salt. This is illustrated in the accompanying figure constructed by adding excess free acid form of a drug to water. We are in the pH less than pH maximum portion of the graph. Base is added dropwise, and as the free base is converted into a salt, the salt goes into solution. At this point, we have both free acid and the formed salt in solution. Additional base is added until all the free acid is converted into the salt form, and we are at pH greater than pH maximum portion of the graph. To calculate the total quantity of drug that will remain dissolved in solution at a selected pH, either of two equations can be used depending on whether the product is to be in a pH region above or below the pH maximum. The following equation is used in the pH range below the pH maximum. The next equation is used in the pH range above the pH maximum. In these equations, SA represents saturation solubility of free acid and SB represents saturation solubility of salt form. For weak acid or bases, the aqueous solubility of a salt of the ionized form is often much higher than that of the free form. This fact is utilized when designing formulations of drugs, where it is often found that the use of salt form gives highly improved bioavailability compared to the free form. However, since the true solubility of a substance is always limited by solubility of the most stable form at a certain set of conditions, careless use of salt form of drug substances may result in unwanted situations. In order to avoid unpleasant surprises, care should be taken to identify the species and equilibria that influence the effective solubility of drug in a relevant range of conditions. From the above discussion, it is clear that it can be absolutely critical to have a detailed insight into the pH solubility profile for drug to be formulated. Next parameter to discuss is partition coefficient. As solubility of drug in aqueous medium is predictive of that how much drug is available for absorption, yet another factor that plays very important role is solubility of drug in lipid, since this factor ultimately decides that how much drug will diffuse across biological membranes and get absorbed. The gastrointestinal membranes are largely lipoidal in character, and hence the lipid solubility of a drug is an important factor in the assessment of its absorption potential. An indication of the relative lipid solubility can be obtained by determining how a drug substance distributes itself between water and an immiscible organic solvent. In general, when a solute is added to two immiscible liquids that are in contact with each other, it will distribute itself between the two phases in a fixed ratio. This ratio is known as the partition coefficient or the distribution coefficient and is essentially independent of concentration of the drug species. Various organic solvents such as amyl acetate, chloroform, carbon tetrachloride, ether, isopropyl myristate, and N-octanol can be used in the determination of the partition coefficient, with the latter gaining increasing acceptance. However, the association of partition coefficient with absorption is not universal, underscoring that the actual body lipids are too complex to be simulated by organic solvent and that the actual absorption process is more complex than the single models used in the lab. Nevertheless, in many instances, the partition coefficient data are useful. The parameter based on partition coefficient called as log P is defined as the ratio of unionized drug distributed between the organic and aqueous phase at equilibrium. It is worth noticing that log P is equals to 0 means that the compound is equally soluble in water and in the organic phase. If the compound has a log P value of -2, then the compound is 100 times more soluble in water, that is, it is quite hydrophilic. A log P value of 2 means that the compound is 100 times more soluble in the organic solvent. For ionizable drugs, the distribution of species will depend on the pH, and the concentration of the ionized drug in the aqueous phase will therefore have an effect on the overall observed partition coefficient. This leads to the determination of another parameter called as distribution coefficient or log D, which takes into account the dissociation of weak acids and bases. Thus, it is correct to say that log D is equals to log P for non-ionizable compounds at any pH. In principle, a drug with high log P tends to have higher membrane permeability as it can partition more easily into the lipid layer. However, drugs with excessively high log P may become sequestered in the cell, with little improvement in permeability across the membrane. Polar compounds with an excessive number of hydrogen bond donors and hydrogen bond acceptors form strong interactions with water, which has been correlated to poor permeability. Compounds with very high molecular weights also have poor permeability. For drug delivery, the lipophilic-hydrophilic balance has been shown to be a contributing factor for the rate and extent of drug absorption. Although partition coefficient data alone does not provide understanding of in vivo absorption, it does provide a means of characterizing the lipophilic-hydrophilic nature of the drug. Additional factors that appears to influence drug permeability are polarity and molecular weight. Based on these factors, Lipinski have proposed an empirical rule of 5 which states that a drug candidate is likely to have poor permeability or poor oral absorption if a drug exceeds 2 or more of the following limits. First, log P is greater than 5. Second, the molecular weight is greater than 500. Third, there are more than 5 hydrogen bond donors, that is, number of NH and OH. Fourth, there are more than 10 hydrogen bond acceptors, that is, number of nitrogens and oxygens. However, these conditions are only applicable to drugs that undergo passive diffusion transport. Now we will discuss the method for determination of partition coefficient. The most common method for determining partition and distribution coefficient is the shake flask method. In this technique, the two immiscible phases, that is aqueous and organic, are first pre-saturated with respect to each other. This is done because aqueous phase exhibits some finite solubility in the organic phase and vice versa. The drug is then dissolved in either of the phase and the known volume of the two phases are equilibrated by shaking. The phases are separated by standing or via centrifugation. The concentration of the drug in one of the phase is then determined by suitable analysis and the concentration in the other is obtained by difference. For a series of compounds, the partition coefficient can provide an empirical handle in screening of some biological properties. Partition coefficient is an important indicator of permeability because partitioning of a drug into lipophilic epithelial cell is necessary step for passive diffusion. Determination of log P in a realistic biological medium is virtually impossible. The octanol water partition coefficient has been widely adopted as a model for defining the relative lipophilicity of a drug. The octanol water system was selected because octanol is flexible and contains a polar head and a non-polar tail which resembles biological membrane components. Hence, the tendency of a drug molecule to leave the aqueous phase and partition into octanol is viewed as a measure of how efficiently the drug will partition into and diffuse across biological barriers. Secondly, the solubility parameter of octanol is 10.24, which lies midway in the range for most of the drugs having solubility parameter of 8 to 12. Octanol is preferred for depicting transport across gastrointestinal membrane. Solvents such as butanol and pentanol, which are more polar than octanol, are termed as hypodiscriminating and are used to reflect transport across buccal membranes. Solvents such as chloroform and cyclohexane, which are less polar than octanol, are termed as hyperdiscriminating solvents, and such solvents reflect transport across blood-brain barrier. The next parameter under consideration is dissolution. Orally administered drugs can exert their pharmacological actions only when they come into systemic circulation from their site of administration, and thus drug absorption is an important prerequisite. Absorption of drug from solid oral dosage forms is mainly influenced by disintegration of the solid dosage form to yield granules, deaggregation of granules to yield fine particles, dissolution of drug from the fine particles into the solution, and permeation of drug across the biological membranes to reach systemic circulation. Both dissolution and permeation are important parameters in the absorption of drug, with dissolution often being the rate determining step for drugs with either low solubility or that are given at high doses. Dissolution is the physicochemical process by which a solid substance enters the solvent phase to yield a solution and is a key prerequisite for any orally administered drug to be systemically effective. Dissolution studies are designed to demonstrate how efficiently an active drug substance is released from a solid oral dosage form. It does not provide any information on drug absorption and do not prove conclusively whether the dosage form will release the drug in vivo in a specific manner. However, it helps to establish whether the drug can become available for absorption in terms of being in solution at the site of absorption. Dissolution testing is a valuable tool to guide formulation development, assess product quality, monitor the manufacturing process, and in some cases predict in vivo performance of solid oral dosage form, and as a surrogate measure for bioequivalence and provide biowaivers. The dissolution rate of a drug substance is described by the Noyes-Whitney equation as shown below. In this equation, D is the diffusion coefficient, S is the surface area of the drug exposed to the dissolution media, Cs is the concentration of a saturated solution of the solute in the dissolution medium, Cb is the concentration of drug in solution at time t, V is the volume of media, and H is the thickness of the diffusion layer at the solid-liquid interface. In dissolution, the first to discuss is intrinsic dissolution. Intrinsic dissolution measures the inherent solubility of the drug in the dissolution medium, while temperature, pH, agitation, and ionic strength of the dissolution medium are constant. Intrinsic dissolution provides an insight into the dissolution behavior of a drug at physiological conditions and is a prime indicator of the bioavailability of a drug candidate. Intrinsic dissolution is also used to characterize bulk drug substances. The value of intrinsic dissolution less than 0.1 milligram per minute per centimeter square suggests that dissolution is a rate limiting step to absorption, whereas the value greater than 1.0 milligram per minute per centimeter square suggests that permeation, not dissolution, is a rate limiting step to absorption. Intrinsic dissolution studies are usually done via stationary disc apparatus and rotating disc apparatus called as wood apparatus. The compacted pellet of a pure drug is mounted in a die such that only one face of the pellet is exposed to the dissolution medium. In the stationary disc apparatus, the dye containing drug pellet is placed face up into a flat bottom dissolution vessel previously filled with the dissolution medium. The medium is stirred by means of a rotating paddle positioned 6 mm above the pellet surface. In the rotating disc apparatus, the die containing the pellet is inverted and screwed onto a shaft which is then lowered into the dissolution medium until the face pellet is 3.8 cm from the bottom of the vessel. The intrinsic dissolution rate is calculated by plotting the cumulative amount of drug substance dissolved per unit area of the exposed pellet surface against time until 10% of drug pellet has dissolved. Dissolution studies are designed to demonstrate how efficiently an active drug substance is released from a solid oral dosage form. As drug release performance depends on formulation and manufacturing variables, the dissolution test is an appropriate parameter to monitor the performance of solid oral dosage form, to detect lot-to-lot performance variability, and to serve as a quality control test. According to USP, the official dissolution apparatus are classified into 7 types. USP apparatus 1, the basket apparatus; USP apparatus 2, the paddle apparatus; USP apparatus 3, a reciprocating cylinder; USP apparatus 4, a flow-through cell; USP apparatus 5, a paddle over disc apparatus; USP apparatus 6, a rotating cylinder; and USP apparatus 7, a reciprocating holder. Detailed dissolution testing and methodologies utilized are described in module In Vitro Testing under paper Product Development Part 2. When dissolution is considered to be slow, a means of enhancing it may be sought. In the absence of a more soluble physical or chemical form of the drug, particle size reduction is the most commonly employed practice. Enhanced surface area with a concomitant increase in the dissolution can also be accomplished by adsorbing the drug onto an inert excipient with a high surface area. Co-melting, co-precipitation, or trituration, a relatively insoluble drug with some excipients, can also result in faster dissolution. Knowledge of comparative dissolution rates of different chemical forms such as salts, esters or prodrugs, and physical forms such as polymorphs and solvates of a drug is necessary in selecting the optimum form for further development.